Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be doing my first player guide and we're going to be featuring Proxima Midnight. Basically my guides are for new players coming in and for anyone who's not experienced with the character. We're going to be focusing on her abilities, some gameplay, and I will break down her pros and cons, at least in my opinion. Please feel free to comment or add your suggestions and of course subscribe, that would be great. So let's get started. I just want to quickly mention that we will be talking about our missions and how to use them at the end of the video, but right now I want to focus on our pros and our cons and some gameplay. First, what we have is our special one. It's a heal blocker. Basically, when Proxima uses her SB1, she will block the opponent's healing for 7 full seconds. That can be on a passive buff as well. If the opponent happens to be regenerating at the time and you use your SB1, you also get an attack increase. And finally, if you happen to have 50 or more hits in your combo meter, that 7 seconds is doubled to 14 full seconds. And 14 seconds in this game is quite long. And as you can see, we're taking on Wolverine in the Realm of Legends right here to demonstrate her abilities. Basically spamming the SP1 and Wolverine is unable to regenerate at all. Having a few more missions under your belt will cause more damage for the SP1. Again, we'll talk about the missions a little later. So as you can see, Proxima is a good champ against regeneration champs. I hear she's pretty good on map 5 against Green Goblin, some Alliance War nodes, and of course quests and heroes that happen to have high regeneration. 7 seconds is a pretty long time, and the 14 is quite amazing. So let's move on to the next stage. Moving on from the special 1 heal block and attack bonus, we'll move on to the second pro. The second pro happens to deal with the special 2 and the special 3. We'll talk about the stun and the damage and the armor break. Basically, after an SP3, Proxima can do quite a lot of damage. It depends on how many missions she has complete. If she has 0 missions, not so much damage. 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you complete the missions, the more damage you're going to get. This one here was after 1 or 2 missions against Stark Spider-Man. I believe it's about 68,000 damage here. Let's take a look. Yep, 68,000. And then we move on to Winter Soldier. This was after maybe 2 or 3. 128,000 damage. She also stuns for 6 seconds after the SP3. Which probably could be increased with your masteries, and does an armor break as well. The SP2 is a little bit more of a damage dealer. It hits 4 times. It does not have the same 6-second stun, but it does have 2 seconds, so you can get a couple rounds of hits in there. The next pro I want to talk about is her ability to take on the Labyrinth of Legends. She's not a bad candidate. I think there's others better than her. I think Star-Lord, Blade, Medusa, and maybe a couple others have her beat. The reason I'm saying that is because she takes a long time to set up for max damage, and her damage happens to be capped to 50,000 per hit in Legends like everybody else. Basically, you want to spam your SP2 because that can do up to 200,000. We did 150 right here. She's not a bad choice. She's not my top choice. You just got to play perfect with her. Okay, so moving on, we see that Proxima was a half-decent choice for Labyrinth of Legends, so let's move on to the next pro. True Accuracy against Evade or Auto-Block champs. True Accuracy is not the same as True Strike. True Strike gives you some more abilities such as bypassing armor. True Accuracy only stops evading and auto-block, such as Medusa for auto-block and Spider-Man for evade, and a few others for evade, such as Ultron. Basically, every time Proxima does part of her mission, she gets a 5 seconds true accuracy, as you see in that little purple circle up top. Also, after a 100 hit combo, that true accuracy becomes permanent, which is a great bonus in the Labyrinth of Legends. She happens to be with Corvus Glaive. That 100 hits is actually 75 for a synergy. It's a very nice little bonus. It's a little bit more difficult to implement if you start the fight with Intercepts as your mission, because it's not so easy to intercept Spider-Man or an aggressive Medusa. but still not so bad. Now we're moving on to Medusa right here. Again, we're going when she has the 3 Furies up. Her auto block has failed, even on the specials. So after true accuracy, we're going to quickly discuss a few other pros. Her Fury, her Parry, and Safeguard of projectiles. The Fury is a little bit different. After the 100 hits mission, she will gain a Fury for every mission she had completed. So it's really beneficial in the long fights that if you have mission 1, 2, and 3 completed before you do the 100 hits, you're going to get some massive damage on mission 4. Also, she can parry basic projectile attacks, so like Yondo's arrow can be stunned. And also, she has an ability to safeguard against projectiles when she has 30 hits in her combo. She won't take any more than 3% of her max damage for 4 seconds. Can't really see that being useful too often, but it's still a bonus. So before we move on to the video on the missions, I just want to go over some quick cons. The first one we're going to talk about is her low block proficiency and weaker health. I find with gameplay with her that when I parry or if I take a hit, she takes a lot more damage than most champs. Also, I would consider if you plan to use her a lot that maybe you might rework your masteries and put some more points into the parry and block masteries just to help her along. It comes up to another point that Kabam mentioned in her description that suicides are a good choice for her, at least the recoil part of it. Recoil gives you more special attack damage, but you're also sacrificing a percentage of your health every time you use a special attack. I don't quite agree with that, just because in long fights it's hard enough to keep her alive, and now I have to worry about basically losing a percentage of my health every time I run a special. Maybe in the shorter fights where you can use your special at the end of the fight, or you can use your special 3 more often, but when you're in like the Labyrinth of Legends and you're trying to stay alive and you have to worry about your recoil damage on a champ that basically has no regeneration, has no immunities, it's pretty tough. So moving on to the second con, it's her long setup for maximum damage. This once again is more about the Labyrinth of Legends, or very long fights. In Legends you want to do maximum damage, and for her to do that she has to get all 4 missions in. That includes her parry mission, her intercept mission, her takedown mission, and her 100 hit mission. That can be difficult, and one mistake, you have to start all over again. Proxima is very unforgiving, and that's why I don't think she's a top champ for the Legends. There's just so much you got to do. Yes, you can do 1 or 2 missions and you get some pretty good damage, but those long fights, you really want to get them all in, and it can be quite difficult to set her up. So moving on to the third con, basically Proxima Midnight has no immunities or regeneration. Unlike a lot of the cosmic champs who are immune to poison, she's not immune to poison, she's not immune to bleed, she's not immune to incinerate, and she has no regeneration, which is a little tough for her because it takes her so long to set up for so many of her missions, and her block proficiency is so low that she really has no bonuses to keep her alive. So that's why I put that as a con. So moving on to the last con is her striking when she has no missions complete. When she has no missions up, her regular hits are pretty light, her special attacks are pretty light. It's a little better with the SP1 when she's against a regeneration champ, she gets some attack damages, but in reality her strength comes from her missions. So even having 1 mission done can really increase your special attack damage. Obviously up to 4 is the best, but in the short fights getting 1 or 2 done pretty good, in the longer fights getting up to 4 done pretty good. But if you just rely on her without her missions, it's going to be a longer fight. So before we see the video on the missions, I just want to give you an overview on how they work. Basically, when you complete a mission, your special attack damage is increased. For the first 10 seconds, it's increased by 250%. After those 10 seconds are complete, it drops down to 200%. That's per mission. So every time you do a new mission, that is actually added on. So by the 4th mission, you're doing an insane amount of damage. And just wanted to mention once again that the true accuracy is part of your missions. Basically, when you complete a part of your mission, you get the 5-second true accuracy. So, for example, if you have the 6 well-timed blocks, the first block, you'll get 5 seconds. The second block, you get 5 seconds. The third block, you get 5 seconds, and so on and so on. So every single part of a mission, you get the true accuracy. And obviously, after the 100 hits, you get it for permanent, which is a great bonus. I also just want to remind you that the 4th mission, which is the 100 hit combo, it can be a 75 hit combo if you happen to have a synergy with Corvus Glaive, only works if you're duped. When you're duped and you get that 100 hits, basically you get a bunch of Furies for every mission that you had completed in the past, and you also get true accuracy permanently. So it's a very nice bonus, but she doesn't have to be duped to be pretty good. It's just a great bonus. Lastly, I just want to mention that missions 1, 2, and 3 are assigned randomly at the beginning of the fight. You know what 1 and 2 or 3 do, but you're not sure which one's going to appear when you first start fighting. So just before the video, we'll talk about the different types of missions. Mission 1 is 6 well-timed blocks. Basically, if the opponent is stun resistant, it'll be 6 blocks. If the opponent is not stun resistant, it'll be 6 parries. The next mission is mission 2. That's 4 intercepts. This is probably the one that's probably liked the least, just because a lot of people don't like to intercept. It's also a little bit more riskier since you're not doing the parry or the block. The last of the random missions is mission 3, which is Incapacitate. Basically, you have to take the enemy down 5 times. You can do that 2 ways, one with a heavy attack or the other with a special attack. The heavy attack can be a little bit more risky just in case your opponent has stand your ground, but for regular quests and so forth, it shouldn't be a problem. And finally, we mentioned before, mission 4. This one is not random, it's just getting to 100 hits. And like I said, it's really beneficial in the long fights to have mission 1, 2, and 3 completed before you do number 4. Because when 4 finishes, you get a Fury buff for every single mission you completed before the 100 hit combo. Okay, let's get into the gameplay. The first mission that we were assigned is number 2, that is 4 intercepts. I happen to get off 4 quick intercepts here in a row. You don't have to do it that way. There's many ways to do intercepts. You also see when the mission is over, the little orange circle, that's the 250% special damage for 10 seconds. That will switch to 200%. Now we move on to number 3. Number 3 mission is a takedown or incapacitate, either by a heavy attack or a special. And remember that you get that true accuracy every time that you do a part of your mission. And finally, we move on to number 1. Number 1 is 6 well-timed blocks or parries. At the end of this video, I happen to do mission number 4, 100 hits before I completed the 3, but you'll get a pretty good idea of the kind of damage that Proxima can do if she has all her missions up, with her special 3 coming up here. Of course, this is capped in Labyrinth of Legends. The best you can do is 200,000 on the special 2. So she just did 400,000 damage there. Okay, everybody, that concludes Proxima Midnight's guide for today. Here's one more look at her pros and her cons. This is my very first guide, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope things will go smoother in the future. So please like, subscribe, comment, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much, and take care.
Target identified. Analysis complete. Please subscribe.